Hey everybody, welcome back. It's James here, and it is the 19th of January. I think it's a Thursday. Yes, it is, 2023. And this evening or this morning, or depending when you're watching this, we have a very special guest, the Olympic champion Kenji Nener. Now, Kenji was really kind to donate some of his time today to have a chat with me, to give me a little bit insight of, I guess, his backstory into triathlon, bit about his diet, his training routine, and why he's currently racing and competing for Japan instead of Australia. Okay, so this is a little bit of controversy, but I think you'll find his insight into triathlon, yeah, very good. Okay, so if you don't know, Kenji is currently ranked number one in triathlon in the continental region, and from a quick Google search, his world triathlon ranking is 24. In the World Triathlon Championship Series, he's ranked 15, and Olympic ranking, he's ranked 18th in the world. He has aspirations to compete in Paris next year for the Olympics, but I won't spoil it for you. I'll let you listen to his words of wisdom. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the brief chat here with Kenji Nener. So, Kenji, if you're watching, I'm sure you are. Thanks for your time today, and we wish you the best for the next competition that you are competing in March. All right, guys, enjoy the chat and the banter, and we'll see you guys on the weekend. Bye, everybody. Everybody, it's James here, and it is Thursday, the 9th of January, 2023, and we have here is
Kenji Nener.
Kenji Nener. Welcome back. Kenji, if you guys don't know, is the Olympic champion from Tokyo 2020. He came
14th.
14th.
Yeah.
And it was a sprint series?
No, it was Olympic distance standard triathlon. Yeah.
Olympic distance standard. So what's that in terms of kilometers on the bike, run, and the swim?
So it starts with a 1500 meter swim, and then a 40k bike, and then finishes with a 10k run.
Wow. And you were representing Japan in that Olympics?
Yes, that's correct.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Kenji, tell us, how did you stumble upon or enter into triathlon?
When I was growing up, I did a lot of different sports that covered from tennis, soccer, even rugby. I also did some swimming and some running. And at the time, I was always interested. I actually also even did gymnastics. So it was quite yeah. I definitely challenged a lot of sports, and not necessarily the best at all of them, but the gymnastics I actually also enjoyed quite a lot, and I even was with the state program for a little bit. But yeah, eventually throughout high school, I was advised by one of the running coaches I saw from week to week to give triathlon a go. It was a new sport at the time. In Sydney 2000, that was the first time triathlon ever had an Olympic Games. So it was a relatively new sport, but it was three sports put together. So I thought it would be somewhat interesting rather than seeing a black line in the pool all day. So to me, that definitely kept me more passionate about the sport. So yeah.
So how did you? So your running coach goes, "Hey, you should try triathlon." And then when did you enter your first race?
So I was part of school sport WA. So school sport they also have a national championships. They do that for cross country, triathlon, and a lot of other sports. And the first triathlon I ever did, actually, I believe I was in year 8, so 13 years old, and that was. The qualification race for the national championships, which were to be held in Port Arlington, Victoria, and I actually won the selection race.
And then that year, did you compete in nationals?
Yes, I did. It was an extremely stormy day, and at that time I weighed maybe 48 or 49 kilos. So I was a late physical developer. There's no doubt about that. Still am. Actually, I have my wisdom teeth still coming out now. So, yeah. But yeah, no, I got thrown around in the swim a lot because it was the current was extremely strong and it was really windy. So I actually exited the water last, which was relatively unusual for me. But I somehow managed to run up into ninth. So
Cool. And then, I guess after you started triathlon, when did you first turn pro?
So how it works with triathlon is there's a junior elite series, then it shifts to under 23 elite, but under 23, some of them do take the option to race pro straight away, so they'll already compete against the world's best, despite being under 23. So I technically turned professional the moment I left juniors, so at 20 years old, yeah.
So wow, so you're racing against pretty much an open field at 20.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
And recently, you just came back from a race recently?
Not exactly recently. I actually came off a 3-week break, which is relatively unusual for me. We get about 3 weeks in the whole year where we get to take some time off, which is nice. But knowing the nature of endurance sport, yeah, you can't afford to spend too much time on the sidelines. But again, it depends on the person. But I tend to only spend about 3 weeks off per year.
Not much time.
No, it's not, but you got to make the most of it. It's
Yeah.
more like a mental reset and basically letting all the stress that has been stuck in the body for the whole year just go, and you just need to take like a breath of fresh air, really.
Cool. So this is an interesting question that most people will want to know, because you were racing for Australia and now you're racing for Japan. So tell us how that came about. Because you're born here, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. I did my education, both secondary and university education in Western Australia, and I actually did represent Australia for my junior and under 23 world championships as an elite, and even went on to represent Australia in my first World Series event in Montreal. But unfortunately, I had quite a few problems with the high performance director and the high performance structure of Triathlon Australia.
Okay, so it wasn't you kind of forced out, sort of, so to speak?
I think I was pushed into a corner, and I basically was left with an ultimatum whether to get a job or whether to, I'm not sure, racing for Australia. They didn't really give me any options in the end. The only two options I was given is basically race as a domestique for Triathlon Australia, and be looked at as a potential mixed team relay athlete, and those were the only two options for me moving forwards. They had already let go of me in the high performance system, and while at the time the national coach of Triathlon Australia, Jamie Turner, actually tried to do his best to keep me within the system, the high performance director and the CEO of Triathlon Australia actually pushed me completely out, and made it extremely difficult for me to continue.
Yeah, we're not going to name any names. So you just competed, well, not just, it was Tokyo 2020, and you came, what was it?
14th.
14th
Yeah.
overall, and you compete against any Australian triathletes?
Yeah, funny enough, I did. I ended up becoming in front of them at the Olympics. Yeah.
The one that you were domestiquing, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Cool. We'll leave it there. I guess what's for the future? What do you want to do now?
So my goal is to race Paris 2024. Of course, I'm yet to qualify, as with everyone else at this stage, but I believe this to be probably my last 2 years in the sport. So I'm going to do everything in my power to deliver the best performance possible, and I'm very grateful to have everyone behind me who are in my support group, and I think I can only indulge on their support for so long. So I think 2024 is probably where I'll peak as an athlete. So I'm just going to give it all. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess this is the reality of being an elite athlete and kind of knowing when to call it a day. I guess, right?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult because elite sport it becomes part of your identity and who you are, and you always. I don't know because I haven't hung up the gloves, so to speak, yet, but I think it will be really challenging to leave elite sport, having been extremely disciplined at trying to deliver my best performances every day, and just in sport, funny enough. Whereas a lot of other people have different ambitions, whether that's work or raising a family. I believe there is a very finite time for which you can perform at a world level, and it takes an incredible amount of support, both financially and from people, and a lot of backing. And while I would love to continue this for the rest of my life, I believe I can only indulge on this for so long. So I believe this to be the pinnacle of myself as an athlete. So I'm just going to go for it. Yeah.
So exit on a high point.
Absolutely, that's my aim. Yeah.
And so how do triathletes make money? Like you said, there was a series.
Yeah. So very recently, there's been something called the Super League series, and that has been the CEO Michael Dulst introduced this concept, and I think it's extremely appealing to the public in the sense that it keeps everyone on their toes, and in particular their athletes. So rather than like a standard triathlon would typically go swim, bike, run, and that would be it. And the whole length is done in each discipline, and then once that's done, it will go on to the next discipline. Whereas the Super League concept is it could go swim, bike, run, bike, swim, and then finally swim, bike, run. It could be an enduro where it goes swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. And then because of this different variation and with the amount of transitions involved, it becomes a race where it might not be as easy to see the winner at any given point of the race. And I think that makes it extremely appealing to people. And due to the nature of the course being quite small, there's an incredibly high technical aspect involved. So a lot of corners taken at speed, and there's also a lot of crashes. And I just think this sort of Grand Prix type format is really appealing to the public, and I think it can give triathlon a new life because while everyone loves the traditional Olympic sport of triathlon or potentially Ironman, for the viewers or people who aren't familiar with triathlon, I believe Super League actually to create an environment where the public is always interested. Yeah.
Okay, so the Super League, the athletes that compete, they get paid what? Do they get a base salary, or do they get bonuses for winning?
Yeah, so how it works, it depends on the individual's contract, and I suppose it really depends on the person. But basically, essentially, each person will have an individual contract based on, well, I suppose how good they are within the sport, and how much public interest they can bring, like how appealing they are to the public, would be a base salary, and based on their results within the races or the series, they'll also get bonuses.
Oh, wow, so this is a way for the triathletes to make money effectively, to sustain a living.
Yeah, it's one of the very few ways, yes. Yeah.
Because does podium on the Olympics pay well? Do you know?
I think it really depends on the country.
Okay.
So, for instance, if I won a medal representing Japan, I believe it to be quite lucrative. But I'm actually not sure. Apart from, it's more to do with the sponsorship opportunities as opposed to like a federation or like a country.
Yeah, and who's sponsoring you at the moment? Like who's sponsoring the bike? And
so I've been very fortunate to actually have NTT as my major financial sponsor, and Specialized has provided me with the bike, and I'm now an ambassador for Specialized, which is a phenomenal opportunity for me. I'm so lucky, and HEP and Zero D and Wahoo also, and Oakley Japan also sponsor me. So I've been there's without the backing of these people, it's almost impossible. Yeah. So I'm very grateful to have had these many people.
And the bank of mum and dad.
Oh, that definitely. At the beginning, there's no doubt that the bank of mum and dad came handy. Just like any sport, triathlon's an expensive sport as it is, but just like any sport, without the generosity of people, it's almost impossible to make a living or even continue in the sport.
Yeah, so the last 3 years due to COVID, you haven't been in Australia, have you? Where have you been?
So I've actually been in Japan by myself. So more or less, I've been training by myself, and when I could, I would go out to camps, and I was fortunate to train with Norway. So Christian Blumenfeldt, who was the victor of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, and who was the St. George Ironman world champion, and his other teammate Gustav Eden, who won Kona last year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I was very lucky to train with those guys and pick up a lot of different hints. Yeah.
Was Kona at Hawaii?
This last year it was at Hawaii, and from now on it will flick between Nice and Kona.
Okay. And with because there's different types of triathlons, is it easy for somebody to transition to, let's say, for Ironman series or Ironman series back to the normal series?
Definitely. I wouldn't. It would be rude of me to say a retirement scheme, but definitely, in a way, to sustain yourself within the sport, it's better off to go long. I am yet to see someone go from long course to short course, apart from Chris McCormack, who attempted to qualify for the Olympic Games representing Australia from going from long course to short course. He did a great job, but definitely fell short of qualification for Australia.
Okay. I guess what people want to know is how often you train, and maybe your dietary requirements if you have any. So how long do you train?
Yeah, so I typically train about 30 to 35 hours a week, and that's for 52 weeks of the year, apart from 49 weeks of the year, I believe. So apart from 3 weeks that I take, it's not completely off, but more or less off. So
how many hours on the bike? How many hours swimming? How many hours running?
So currently I'm swimming just under 30k in the pool in a week, and riding 360 and running 100
kilometers a week.
Yeah.
And are you focused more on volume or intensity or a bit of both?
It depends on what stage of the season. This is typically our base part of the season, so it's important to build a good aerobic foundation. But also, being Perth, there's a lot of group rides that are great fun to jump on. So it also gives you that sort of group environment where you can challenge yourself and put yourself into an uncomfortable state and have someone hurt you over the top of you. So I think that's also a great exposure, and it's impossible to do that stuff by yourself. Yes, you can push yourself by yourself, but having group rides is also a great element.
And you told me your secret to success is that pizza before pre-race?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I eat pizza even up to 4 hours before the race, to be honest. I don't follow a strict diet. I believe in fueling myself being a far bigger priority than following a strict diet.
So you don't want to go into that calorie deficit with your current training routine?
Oh, absolutely not. I believe if you don't take up enough calories, you're just going to suffer on the next day of training. So it's, and with the amount that we train, it's almost impossible to gain weight.
Yeah. And oh, bless you. Your future aspirations post triathlete. You said you want to go into the field of.
Yeah, my goal is to actually aim for medicine. I'm yet to sit the GAMSAT or the GMAT or the UMAT, but that's my ambition. So actually, which is strange, I come from a background of honours in applied mathematics. So yeah, bit of a deviation, but yeah, I believe that I can contribute positively to society by becoming a sports doctor. Yeah.
So I guess previously, when you were younger, I guess you're looking for financial gain. I guess being a doctor gives you a bit of both, really.
Yeah, I'm not really looking at the financial aspect, to be honest. I just believe my contribution to society would probably be best put in sports medicine. My absolute goal in that field would be to be a doctor for an AFL team or like a Premier League team or something like that. That would be my goal outside of triathlon eventually, that I would aim for.
Wow, look at that guy's humanistic side of Kenji Nener here. That's pretty amazing. And Kenji, two truths, one lie. We've practiced this, but I don't know if he's actually up to the task. So let's hear it.
Yeah, this is not my forte. Two truths and one lie. Okay. I lived on a naval base. I made pizza. I danced in a nightclub with a celebrity.
There you go, guys. I think in the next interview or chat, we'll let you know which one is the lie. And a superpower, Kenji.
I'd love to fly, to be honest. Yeah,
Fly.
cool. Yeah.
And any particular shout outs you want to say hi to anybody or thank anybody? Since we're here, we're on YouTube.
No, I just, as always, very much thank you to my sponsors, NTT East and West, Specialized, HEP, Oakley, Wahoo, Zero D.
Mom and Dad.
Mum and Dad, yeah, absolutely, and girlfriend, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, thank you very much, and it's been an absolute pleasure being in Perth.
Cool, man.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on the show, Kenji.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.